Here we go. Okay. Big welcome to Start Stronger 2018. I'm really excited about this. When I was doing these slides earlier on today, I was like, right, okay, there's 2 actions in these that I am definitely doing myself. And so you have got permission. If I've got permission to nab you and go, well, have you done your homework? Have you done your homework? Then you can say the same to me. So I am just going to say a huge welcome. This is the Zoom line. And I actually did create a different meeting. So this should be the Zoom line all the time. And what I will do is I'll just make sure that now just before I send it on. And I've got Google Calendar, so I'm going to add it to you. I use Google Calendar all the time. And what I don't know if you guys use Google Calendar.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then maybe you do. Clodagh, do you use Google Calendar?
Just starting.
Okay, well then I'll put it into your calendar, and I will, because that way then it's blocked off. I know you'll remember it anyway, but at least it's there. And then the meeting ID is there. So if you're out and about, you could use it from your computer. You can use Zoom from your computer, or you can use Zoom from the phone, which I often do.
Yeah.
So I just watched E.T. recently, and you know what? It's a movie that if you haven't seen in like 20 years, like I haven't, go and see it. It's really, really good. And as E.T. says, I am right here. So I am. And I'm delighted because, as I said, there's only 5 of us on the program, which is exactly what I wanted. And which means then send me emails or little text messages, or if you're running into any issues, as we go along. It's actually going to be 10 weeks rather than 8 weeks in the duration. Then just the way St. Patrick's Day falls and Easter falls.
Oh yeah.
So and one of the things that I'd like you to think about, because is why I'm saying it now, is that, you know what, and I know Maeve, you're doing a pricing job tomorrow. When you kind of pitch for business, one of the first things that you could do is like pitch for the business, and then the next thing would be to ask for a testimonial. Say, you know what, if you're really happy with my work, I'd really appreciate a testimonial at the very end of the program, so that the program or the project or whatever. So straight away you're setting the expectations, and you're putting in people's mind that there's going to be a testimonial at the end of it. So I encourage everybody to do that. I'm going to encourage you guys to do it, so therefore then I have to do it myself. So I'm going to put it in the back of your minds that hopefully there'll be a testimonial at the end of it, which is why you will be nabbed and prodded by me, just to make sure that everything is all done. And then in terms of the calendar, as I said, I'll put that into your Google Calendar. And then these are the dates. So mark your calendar. Today is the 5th, not the 6th, which obviously I made a mistake in all the promotions saying it's going to start the 6th. But the 5th of February, the 12th, the 19th, the 26th. So we're all good for February. We're all good into the 5th of March to 12th of March. Then the week after that is St. Patrick's Day, and that's a bank holiday. And I thought, you know what, let's keep it a bank holiday. And now again, I will be, like, if you're going to be working that weekend or doing I think St. Patrick's Day falls on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And so then hopefully Ireland will win the match, and then everybody will come over to bits on the Sunday. But keep it a holiday. Everybody needs a break. And because the weeks go by really quickly, as you know that yourself, so keep it as a holiday. And then the 26th of March, that would be week 7, and then the week after that actually is Easter Monday, and again that's a bank holiday, so I don't think we should be working on a bank holiday. And again, but if you are working, which no doubt I will probably be doing work anyway, or sometime over the weekend, so just email me and text me if you're on, if you have any questions. That goes without saying, okay? So just text me on that. And then week 8 brings us to the 9th of April. That will be our graduation day. So it is actually over 10 weeks. So it probably makes it easier in one way, so it won't be as intense as 8 weeks. What I do plan to do is, and I think I have it in the next slide, is, so I was going to do it in batches of 4. But what I might do is I might just do batches of 6. Week 1 to week 6, and then almost set you a task, kind of, depending on how we go for the 19th. That might give you 2 weeks to do it, in terms of what's going on in your business. So when it comes to the bonus and the Clients for Life section, that's that 2 hours, because I usually do a VIP day, and it goes for usually 6 hours. And in that, like, you know, literally focus on your market, your message, any kind of marketing issues that you're having, any marketing challenges, what you want to do. So we've kind of condensed that into 2 hours. And I think, well, whatever suits you guys, but I would recommend maybe doing it maybe like booking in for like maybe the week 3, the 19th. Because then that's when we're talking about message. So today we're going to talk about low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to talk about quick wins, because I want you to kind of like start experiencing something good. Then next week we're going to talk about marketing communications and really the truth of marketing. So, because if you think about marketing, not giving too much away, in terms of marketing communications, a lot of people say you should be doing marketing and this is what you should be doing. I kind of want you to broaden that mindset of marketing to become like, there's about 5 or 6 marketing truths that I talk about and how you can apply that to your business. Week 3, you see, we'll be talking about your message, and we're going to dive deep into your message. We're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're going to talk about emotional factors. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff in that one. That one's going to be quite, I wouldn't say intense, right? Because I'm trying to make it that it's not overwhelming, because I know it's Monday evening, everybody's really busy. But this is one that, like, you know, most people need help on, is like getting clear on your message. Like, we'll walk you through a few, like, you know, easy ones, you know, when blah, 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 blah. Or the XY statement that I gave out in the webinar, I help X to do Y, so that. So we'll talk about those ones. So we're going to dig deep into your message. And then week 4, we'll spend a bit of time working on your market as well. I'd imagine there'll be some carry on from your message into your market and that one. So I would suggest that you book in for 2 hours around those weeks, I think, to make the most of it. That being said, you can book in anytime you want. All right. So I'm not stopping you from doing anything. I just think that that might be better, knowing particularly you two guys. Now, Clodagh, we still need to have a 30-minute conversation about objectives and all that kind of stuff. So that will help, I think, as well. In terms of getting to know each other. So I'm going to see about just kind of, and even examples when I'm kind of putting the training together, I can think of examples that would help everybody, even if they're not on the line, because I'll be doing the training and people will be listening to the recording. So, so I'm going to be doing that. So it'd be great to know everybody's business and have an idea, which I do have an idea, but more of an idea. And so then that's what we're going to cover. And that's wrong. That shouldn't be there. Now, so what are your goals? I want you to think about it. Now, we've already written it. I've already had a conversation with 3 people, I think. And I've got conversations of 2 more people to have. But I want you to sit down and think about, what are your goals for this program? Because you're after investing your time, you're investing your money, but more importantly, you're going to be investing your time. So there's going to be like today, then there's going to be like, you know, a little bit of homework. Then there's going to be like putting stuff into practice. Then there's actually getting in contact with me and then waiting for me to get back to you. So it's going to be a lot of time, more so than like your investment in terms of money. But I want you to kind of think about, what is it that you're looking for out of this program? What would you really like to achieve at the end of this? And I want you to write it out. I want you to plan it out. And I want you to refer it often during the 8 weeks. Because sometimes it'll be like, oh God, I have to talk to Denise. Oh God, it's Monday, I'm tired. I don't want to go on the call. And you don't have to, of course, because it's been recorded. Or you're like, oh, I missed the call last night. Now I have to like download it and Jesus, you know, all that kind of stuff. Don't want you to feel that this is a chore. And so I want you to think, you know what, in 8 weeks' time, I'm going to have a clear message. Or in 8 weeks' time, I'll have my pricing structured and sorted out. Or in 8 weeks' time, I've got a plan going forward for world domination. So obviously, you know, you have to apply SMART to it, you know, specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and target focused, time bound. But think about it just in terms of what you'd like to achieve. And maybe even, like, I've got, like, so I'm looking at the computer, but I've got a blank wall in front, you know, behind my computer. And so I've got, like, you know, little things. So even right now, I've got, like, you know, I've got 3 small actions towards each of my 3 top outcomes. So even now, like, I've got my own goals that I'm supposed to be, when I say supposed to, I know I'm supposed to be looking at. So I want you to refer to them often. But it's something, and I know we talked about yours, Maeve, and we'll have to talk about yours, Clodagh. I have a fair idea, but just to have them. So if you think about them, that would be good. And then these are the expectations. So it's always good to set expectations out from the very beginning in anything that you do. And if I can give you one piece of advice out of all of this program, and particularly this week one, it's like setting expectations. Is that sometimes when I think about jobs that I didn't do well, it's really because I never set expectations. So people kind of assumed one thing and then I assumed something else. And so when it comes to any job or any communication, then it could be expectation setting is really key. So that's why I thought I'd put it in here. So every week I'll give you training, and every week I'll have office hours. They're going to be on Friday. And every day I'll be on email. Now that includes Saturday and Sunday, okay? And then, but what I would like you to do is like, just show up every week. Now you don't have to show up on a Monday if it just doesn't work, okay? That's why I say in whatever format you can. And I just need you to keep taking action. Just keep taking action of whatever description, because there's no point at the end of the 8 weeks, because 8 weeks sounds long, but it's actually not long. So at the end of the 8 weeks, I don't really want you to say, oh, you know what? Could have done that if I had done this or something like that. Like there's always going to be, you will have this training forever anyway. So let me put that out there. You'll have access to the website. Obviously don't share it with people, but so you'll have access to it and you'll have access to me. But what I want you to do is then, take as much action as you can in the next 8 weeks. And I think that will truly benefit you guys. And self-discipline is the key. You need to keep your promises to yourself. But as I said, I will be there to nag you. So, and prod you. And if I see that, you're not busy this week, I'll just jot you an email, text message, go, hey, what's the story, Rory? Because I'm investing it as much as you are. So with that, I want to talk about marketing momentum. Now, you would have seen this and you would have heard me say this. Now, Clodagh, you would have seen me speaking about this in action. This is truly, truly, truly what the core of marketing is all about. And a lot of people actually don't speak about it. Now, when I say a lot of people don't speak about it, they don't. And that's, I suppose, in this is a safe space where we can all share ideas. And that's one thing I should have said from the beginning. Maeve, this is Clodagh, this is Maeve. But in the safe space, we can share all, ideas or questions or anything like that. What I would never say in an outside space is that, you should never compare yourself to somebody else. And, but when I talk about marketing, I think I'm probably the only person, like when I talk about marketing, about these market message, most people go straight to your media. So if you talk to somebody like a mentor in Leo or anywhere like that, they'll go straight to, you should be doing this and you should be doing that and they should be doing this and they should be doing that, rather than actually focusing on your message and your market. And so once you guys are clear on that, the media stuff is fine, because most of the times in terms of your business model, the same as my own, it's going to be more or less relationship based, and it's going to be a case of picking up the phone. And so the rest of the stuff just really supports what you do. Like your website will just support it, your direct mail piece, like your quarterly newsletter, whatever it is, that really just supports you as a person, because people buy you and people buy from people. So because we're all in that kind of like the business model of call me is what it's kind of like defined as, it all comes down to the telephone really. And so I think the other stuff, and we will go through the other stuff, and I think the other stuff is very important, but I think that just kind of elevates you, or supports you when you pick up the phone. And so my aim for you is that I want you to be the choice in your market and not a choice. And you may have heard me say it before, and you will hear me say it again. In the absence of all other attributes, people will compare you on price. And so generally, if you compare, let's say, an apple with an apple, then people say, what's the cheapest apple? And unless you position yourself in such a way that people won't compare you on price. So other attributes, not just quality, not just location, but they are too, quality and location and price. They're three different attributes. So you need to be very clear on the attributes that you have. And it could be location, and it could be generally speaking, it could just become down to you. But if it just comes down to you, then you need to be able to describe it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Because I do talk about this a bit, and I will be talking a little bit more about it. No. Okay. I want you to think, and both of you, and I think all of you that's on the course, I want to talk a little bit more about marketing. There's really 4 marketing truths I want to talk to you about, and it does come down to marketing mindset, right? Marketing truth number 1, you are now a marketing person. So you're no longer what you do. Okay, marketing number 2, you are not a doer of your trade. Well, obviously you are, okay? So, but I want you to think in terms of marketing all the time. And so I remember one of the first times when I started on this entrepreneurial journey 12 years ago. And then I remember hearing one of my earliest mentors saying, you really are like, you should be doing marketing 50% of your time. I'm like, what the heck? How can you be doing marketing 50% of your time? But really, you know what, the more he said it, the more I listened, and the more I realized, actually, you know what, you should be doing marketing 50% of your time. Now, it doesn't have to be like seriously sitting down and writing a blog or writing down your newsletter or things like that. It literally could be picking up the phone and actually like chatting to people, or it could be like talking to your next door neighbor and saying, how's it going? You know, Denise, you know what, I was actually busy at work today. Well, like, wait till I tell you what I do. And obviously it's a case of you should be asking them first. But like, you know, that's the kind of marketing will be like chattering to people about what you do and not keeping it as a secret. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to put my own hand up as well. Who can honestly tell me now that their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their mother, their uncle, sisters once removed, cousins, you know, friend, knows exactly what you do?
No, probably not.
You know, and like, you know, they're the people, like, you know, it's our friends and our family who obviously want to support us. Like, I get this question, and I don't know who I said it to. I get this question all the time. Denise, what is it exactly that you do? I'm like, you know me 4 years. How come you do not know that, like, at this stage? I was on the radio once, and I actually got a phone call from one of the girls I run with. She was saying, now I understand what you do. I just thought, we run every single Saturday morning. You know, so that's what I mean by now you're a marketing person. So you have to kind of get out of your mind that, you know what, they might be thinking I'm blowing my own trumpet or bumming myself up or whatever. No, it's just like, you know, we'll start chatting about who it is that it'd be easier when you get to, like, you know, your messages clear and you've got an example or stories. Stories are very good. But I think you need to become, that's what I mean by now you're now a marketing person and you're not a doer of your trade. Yes, you still are, but in terms of promoting your message and in terms of that mindset, and we'll work a little bit more about mindset because I think that's important to do that. And then marketing truth number 3, it's not about you, which leads into marketing truth number 4. It's about your customers and your clients. Now this, I have to be honest and say, this took me a long time to actually understand that. Now I knew what it meant. I said, yeah, it's not about them, it's not about the results. But to actually truly, and I'm going to sound very American, because remember, one of my mentors is American. And so I'm trying not to be so American. But, you know, where you own it and you become it. Like, so it's not about you, it's about your customers and clients. That it's only this year, I have to be honest, it's only this year where I kind of truly understand it. And so when I started kind of marketing, actually really over in the last year, it really is less about what I can do for somebody. Well, it's kind of what I can do for them. So it's less about me. So, you know, when you call up somebody and you'll say, and I'm just following up on that proposal that I sent. Anyway, did you have a chance to read it? And they say no. I'm like, oh. And then you know what, you immediately kind of think that it's you, and you go, oh shit, you know what, shouldn't have called them up, shouldn't have done that, I should have reduced the price, should have done that. But you know what, it's not, you shouldn't really be internalizing all that kind of stuff. Definitely each no is a lesson, each yes is also a lesson. But when it comes to, like, you know what, it's not you, and you know when I say it's not you, it's not business, it's personal, it's not personal, it's business, both of them equally true. But I think for you and for all of us, it's really about what you can do for your customers. And so that's where the hard sell doesn't come into it anymore. And if that person's not interested in it, even though you want that job, then you know there's somebody else. And if you do know that person, if you know that you're going to work really well with that person, and then you know that what you do for them is going to be really important, I think that's when you're able to state with all your heart and soul and say, you know what, I think that you need to go with me. We'll talk about, there's different language, and probably by week 6 or week 7, we're going to talk about different language, but it'll go something like, well, you know, actually that's a shame that you kind of think that way, because the first time that we talked together, you said, I asked you, what was this worth to you? And you said to me that it was worth, you know, the safety of my children, or usually you can bring it down to emotion, the safety of my children, or things like that, or the time is right. And they say, oh, that's a shame. So you kind of remember, like you reiterate what that is, but what was important to them. So they sometimes kind of stop and they have to remember, go, you know what? Yeah, that is what I said. And oh yeah, so why? And so then you kind of put them in a position where they kind of think, well, why am I saying no to this again? Because again, it's nothing to do with you. You've taken yourself out of it on what you can do. Obviously still part of it, but it's what they get from it. So does that make sense? We'll talk about that a little bit more. So because that's definitely a mindset, and it's a mindset shift. And if you have that mindset, hands up.
If you have which mindset? The customer focus?
Yeah. That it's all about them and it's not about you. So I think, you know what, we'll definitely work on more of that, because you do have it, but it's actually just getting the language in there to say, well, what it's, because it takes you completely out of the picture. Mm-hmm. So it does. Or like, you know what, maybe you're already out of the picture and you're actually halfway through the marketing mindset and you don't need this course at all. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And so when you sit with this, actually, if anything comes up or pops up, and I'm doing the mentoring coaching thing, when you sit with it, and if you look at it back and you think about it, if anything pops up, just email me and then we can talk about it. But I wanted to talk to you about 7, I think actually I've got 8 really at the end, 7 immediate areas to create a windfall in your business. So some of these are going to be relevant to most of you, more so to others, but I think that it'll all work out. The first one is to mine your existing customers. Now, I know that some people are just kind of starting out. They've got some customers that are starting out, and then some people are in business like 3 to 5 years. But what I wanted to do is that you can never become a great marketer without a driving focus on creating a never-ending back end of products and services. So I really want you to kind of think about what are the services that you offer. So, you don't need to jot it down right now, but what I do want you to do is kind of jot down what services you really offer people right now. And we don't need to talk about features, we'll talk about that in a minute, but what are the services? Because in order to get and keep customers, you need to kind of bring people on a customer journey and not giving too much away, not giving too much away like for later on, but just to give you an example, like sometimes I get people, and I would have when I kind of reinvented myself back in 2009, when I had no business, after the recession or during the recession, I was like, Jesus, what am I going to do? What am I good at? And I was good at writing. So I thought, right, okay, well, I'm good at writing. I can be a copywriter. And so I got a load of copywriting jobs. And so that was great. But because I was a marketer, not a journalist, copywriter, I was able to tell people, well, it's great that I can write this copy for your site. But what about, have you considered this? Or have you done that? Or have you entered these awards? What are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? So, but one of my key strengths, which I didn't realize at the time, I suppose, was I could see the essence of a business, what was really good about a business. And then I was able to kind of take that on. So the service that I had was copywriting, but then after that, like the back end, and it wasn't systematized at the time the way it is now. But so I had copywriting, so I was copywriting for their website. Then because of my marketing background, I was able to suggest, well, maybe you should think about doing some awards, and we were able to write awards. Then the next thing would be, okay, well, seeing as you're doing all this lovely writing, what about doing some other marketing? Like, you could be doing some blogs, you could be doing some content, or what about, this kind of thing in your marketing? So there was always ways to actually keep them coming back. Because at the beginning, there wasn't. Because at the beginning, I was just like, I'm just a copywriter. I did the website, don't know what to do. But I kind of I didn't force it, that's a bad word, right? I kind of suggested a back end of other solutions. So once you kind of have written them down as to what the services you have, So you kind of take them on a customer journey. So believe it or not, you guys, I'm going to take you on a customer journey, to like, okay, well, this is one bit, then what's the next bit? So I should have it all mapped out as to like, what customers who come in on a program or customers who buy a product, where they go along the journey. And it all starts with your services. What's the service that you offer now? And then we'll talk about what services you could offer then to your customers. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any questions?
No, grand.
No. Okay. Because my idea, like, one of my things I've said, and this is like my XYZ statement, I help organizations get and keep customers for life. And so you can't keep a customer for life just by doing one project. You have to kind of think of other projects or other little things, and I know, Claudia, we'll talk about this now, how we can create ways for you to keep them for life. And it could be, so we need to kind of work on that. But over the next 8 weeks, I want you to talk about, think about client attraction and also client retention. Because client retention, you've already paid the money. You pay the money you've invested in getting that customer. Mm-hmm. So why would you give it to somebody else? So my idea for you would be like that you've got like a ring fence over your existing customers. So you get a customer and you kind of keep them for life as much as you can. And a lot of times it doesn't come down to price. So a lot of times it will come down to the relationship that you have. And again, if you think about that, it's not about them, it's about you. No, it's not about not about you, it's about them. Complete wrong thing. So that means when you suggest something to them, it's not you looking for more money. Well, obviously, every business is in the business to make money, but it's about the service and the value that you can offer. Because you're not most people operate in a position of authenticity and integrity. So if you're going to be offering something, it's not because you see dollar signs. Yes, you'll make money, but and every business is like that. But I think that if you operate from a place of authenticity, the back end of stuff will come. So I want you to think about how often do you communicate with your existing customers? And then how many different forms of media do you use to communicate with your existing customers? So it could be, and I know for some business who are starting off, that might be kind of difficult enough, but then it could be, okay, how often would you like to communicate with your customers? How often do you envisage communicate with your customers? And those customers that you do have, or clients that you do have, how often do you pick up the phone or email them or text them and things like that? So sometimes when I go through this with clients, you would be amazed at the amount of times that people go, oh, well, we send them a Christmas card, we send them a hamper. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I have to say, when I first started doing this kind of calling up, past clients, I did find it very difficult going, hi, how's it going? But again, I'll tell you that it came from a place of, I was kind of looking for business as opposed to just asking about them. Even though as I said, even though I knew that that's what I was going to do, but it was just out of place that I didn't own the fact that I was trying to help them. So it's something I want you to consider. Because a lot of the program that I've done here is kind of fast track your way to success. Get rid of all the errors that you're making now. Get rid of all the errors that I've made that I can tell you, don't do it, mm-hmm. so that you'll actually be able to springboard and make this your strongest quarter as well as your best year ever. And I think now the Pareto, yes, thank you very much, is the 80-20 principle, and really that should drive your customer relationships. Now, I want you to draw up a list of your clients, and I want you to rate them in terms of sales, profitability, and referability. Now, I do have a worksheet, so you'll be able to write it in, okay? So I'll send that on. And so while the 80-20 rule is really important, some people kind of measure in terms of sales, because there'll always be people who will buy, say, more from you or whatever. But maybe that's not your most important, performance indicator. It could be profitability, or it could be referability. So there could be one person on your books that, okay, they're only giving you X amount, but they've referred you loads of times. And that in itself would be like, class as an advocate, in customer relationship management, that's an advocate. And so that could be one of the top, that could be one of your top 20% of customers, even though on the financial books, they would show that they may not be. So I want you to think about and this here, it's not going to be scientific. I just want you to kind of think about, it would be good if you could go back to your accounts and see how much. Now, again, you don't have to share this with me, but look for yourself. Okay, well, who is our top 20 in terms of sales? Who is our top 20 in terms of profitability? And then who is our top 20 in terms of referability? And is there any crossovers? Because sometimes when you look at it like that, and unless you're really looking at your accounts, and even sometimes accountants when I work with know this, but they don't necessarily know referability. And so I think you need to, that's why I thought I could put it in. So top 5% of customers could be financially 10 times more important to you than the rest. So I want you to do that. That's going to be part of your homework on the worksheet. All make sense now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Because can you see that if you actually work your existing customers, that is actually going to be that can create a windfall, and it can create an immediate windfall. Because if you start talking to your existing customers and start understanding them, aside from attracting new customers, start actually seeing, well, how can you be a better service to your existing customers? And it could be, and Clodagh, I know we need to talk a bit more, but it could be a case of, well, maybe it's bringing somebody on. So you refer somebody onto them, but then you become then a trusted partner. And so then what your goal is always going to be that you're top of mind of your customer, that your customer will never forget you, never. And I'll tell you, and you kind of assume and you kind of think that, everybody will remember you because you've done such a good job, and they'll give you a lovely testimonial. But I got a lovely testimonial from a lovely girl. And then I said, listen, I think you really need to do this program. And they said to me, oh, you know what? Yeah, we've actually got somebody in for social media content. And I was like, right, because one of the girls on the webinar, I ran 2 webinars, I don't remember which one. And she was like, yeah, actually, but we're contracted to work with her until June, but we'll give you a call in June. So I've already got the phone call booked in. That's another thing as well. So I've got the phone call booked in for July. So the first week in July, whatever that is. So, I was kind of left talking to myself going, you knew where I was. Why are you doing social media content? You're a pharmacy. So you know what, that's not that's not going to, again, that will support their marketing, but it's not going to do what they want to do. So anyway, so if you think that you're indispensable, and you are, but you need to kind of keep top of mind of your clients. So existing clients is very important. And then this is why I've kind of put number 2 about implementing a referral strategy. Now we'll talk about this individually, and I think in week 5 I'm going to give you quite a few tips on creating referrals. But I want you to think about, well, what type of referral system do you have? And do you ask for referrals? And if you don't ask for referrals, I think you need to do it. Okay, so I was just wondering if I could get your help with something. And if you phrase it in that direction or that way, people love to help. And if anybody of you've seen my my TEDx talk, that was the whole thing. I am afraid to ask for help, and I still kind of am. I'm recovering. I'm an addict. I'm not an addict, actually. I still can't ask for help. But anyway, but it's amazing how if you phrase it, I was wondering if I could get your help at something. People generally will say, oh yeah, okay. So they'll say, no, I can't help you now this time. Yes, I can, but something else, or else it's a strength. Yes. So if you phrase it as a help, then people are more likely to do it. So you could say, you know what, hey, I'm starting this business, and I was just thinking if I could get your help with something. Now, we will talk a bit more about copy and in terms of emotions and direction it. But for a start, the way I said, you can be doing the chatterboxing and then talking to your friends and your family between now and next week. This is something that you can do, because, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but one of the things is that, do you reward customers for referrals? Do you incorporate multiple media in your referral process? So these are things I want you to start thinking about. And you know what? There is no judgment here. If the answer is no, that's fine too. Okay? Just means that we need to kind of work on it. And one thing now, so phrase it like this. I was wondering if I could get your help with something, and then you have to be specific. So I don't know if any of you've been to the BNI, the Business Networking International Group.
Yeah.
They're very, people who get the most out of those referral networks are people who are specific. I'd like to speak to a copywriter. I'd like to speak to an accountant. I'd like to speak to a solicitor. And then after that, then you could say, I'd like to speak to an accountant who has a shit website. I'd like to speak to a solicitor that has got more than 3 partners. I'd like to speak to, so you could be a bit more specific. And that way people will kind of be able to help you. Okay, maybe that specific at this on week 1 might be a bit too specific, but later on I'll want you to be specific about it, because that way then there's no vagueness. Because people, like if you said, I'd like to speak to an accountant, I'd like to speak to professional services, so people, who run professional services, they kind of go, yeah, I think, I think, maybe, but everybody has an accountant. So when I ask for an accountant, or whether I should ask for an accountant, so when I say that you should be doing this is one of the things that I will be doing. Okay, so I'm holding myself accountable to you 2 girls, and you can say, did you ask for any referrals? But everybody has an accountant, so I should really be asking people, hey, do you have an accountant? I'd really like an introduction. I'd like your help with something. I'd really like to introduce your accountant. Now that's very simple, isn't it? Mm-hmm. No reason why you 2 couldn't do something similar. But, and if you ask for 1 referral a day, that's 5 a week. That's around 250 a year. That's mental numbers, if you think about it. Okay. So that not all of that would turn into business, but say half did, even a quarter of that. Quarter into 250 is a lot. Yes, maths is never my strong point, right? But, if you think about it, that is actually just amazing. So when I say that, like the chatterboxing and the, it's not about you, it's about them, and all the other marketing media support you on all of that, because you can actually, working on your message is going to be the best thing you're going to do. Working on your target market is going to be the best thing that you can do. But ultimately, if you actually call up, if you even emailed a friend, or if you emailed an old colleague or a network of people that you had, and you had 5 people a week, imagine asking that's 250 referrals a week, lads, a year. And then, okay, even if you compromise and you said, let's ask for 3 a week, how does that sound to you? Achievable?
Yeah.
More achievable than 5.
Well, there's such thing as minimum stretch and target goals, right? So we could set the minimum as 3, and then the target as 5, and then the stretch as 7, right? But if you think about it, it's mad when you actually look at it like that, that I think that once you're going to get clearer, and you know what, that's something I'm going to stop myself, only because we're going to be doing this program and we're going to get really clear on your message. I get people saying, yes, I'll do that once I get my website up and running. Yes, I'll do that once I've got a brochure. Yes, I'll do that once I've got a business card. Yes, I'll do that once. But there's really no delaying it. You can, you both have businesses right here, right now. And as do everybody else that's going to listen to the replay, you all have businesses now. So there's no reason why you couldn't ask for a referral right now, because people are paying you money right now for work. And you're both of you, I know, you 2 on the line, and I know, talking to 2 other people, they're doing proposals. So they're doing proposals, and so that means then they're looking for business. So you're in business, so there's no reason why you couldn't. So there's no, once I get clear on my message, yes, it'll be better for you when you get clear on your message, but starting today, which is the 5th of February, you can easily ask for. So that's going to be another one of your homework. Okay. Agreed. Are we all agreed to 3 weeks? And that includes me. Okay. So I'm feeling the pain too, but I think it's all going to be good.
Okay.
So the third one I want to talk to you about is, I want you to kind of bring you back. And I know for people who are only starting off their business, it's not that long ago. But what I want you to think about is when you first started up your business. And I think most people on this program is between like say 1 and 5 years in business. I think it's 5. And so if it's time to go back in time, when you launched your business, how did you acquire customers or clients at the very beginning? And how did you market with a limited budget? I want you to think about what did you say, what offers you made. And by the gun to the head approach, I mean, you set up your business and you were like, God, I need to go get clients. Like, what was it that made you step up and really step up and say, okay, I am a marketer and I can really help you grow your business. Like, what was it that you said for somebody to, now some people take a chance on you because you've just started off, but I do want you to think about what you did when you first set up your business. It's probably more applicable to people who are like, say 3 years plus, how you got your business. And maybe for some people it was social media, in terms of what they did, what they said. Was it that you picked up the phone? I know for me at the beginning, I've said it loads of times, it was definitely networking and just chatting to people. But as you move along in the journey, you embrace other stuff, because that's what you do. You just kind of embracing stuff because that we should be doing this and we should be doing that. But one of the other ways, if you model your own success back as to what it was when you first started to where you are now, there should be some kind of key pointers that should be able to point you in the right direction. So I think that will be a good thing to think about. And I know it's not so applicable. It's applicable to people who are 3 years plus in business. It's not so applicable to people who are say 3 years and less. But I want you to think about what it was, because if you think about it, that coupled with how you're successful today, coupled with marketing that we're going to come up with and plan for you then in the next 8 weeks, that should all kind of again cement your marketing. So I need you to model your own success.
Okay.
Number 4. Now, as I said, we will delve deeper into this, but this isn't to stop you from looking at it now. I want you to think about, what are your key benefits? Is your key marketing or your sales message, the front page of your website or whatever it is, the beginning of the emails or letters? So, when you do a proposal, hello, such and such, we are whatever company, when you do a proposal, I want you to look at all that. I want you to see if it's a benefit-focused message, or does it just describe the features of your offering? Now, a lot of times it's easy to go down the features route because it's easier to describe features rather than benefits. But I will tell you, well, it's different. Men and women buy differently. Men do buy in features and women buy in benefits. And then, but at the same time, people buy in logic, but they rationalize. No, they rationalize with emotion. No, I like that. People buy in emotion. Sorry. People buy in emotion and then they rationalize with logic. So, if you need to have both features and benefits. And so particularly if you're selling to men, have more features, but that doesn't mean to say that you stop with the benefits. So I want you to have benefits. It's easier to understand the benefit. So if you can clearly articulate the top 3 benefits that your product and service offers, brilliant. But try and actually write them down. And if you can't imagine what the benefits are, if you're struggling to say what the benefits are, think about it. Just kind of think about, imagine the benefits of it. And another way to look at it could be imagine the benefits within your industry. Because if you think about, say Maeve, just particularly for Maeve is has a blogging package. And so if people aren't used to blogging, and you're going to, you're kind of saying, well, what are the benefits of blogging? Increase exposure and content and SEO to your website and all that kind of stuff. What you could do is you could say, well, actually, 77%, in a recent survey, 77% of people said that they actually buy based on the content that they read. Or 55% of people say they trust online reviews rather than offline reviews, or something like that. Because that way then you're bringing benefits into, and if you blog about your services, or if you get other people to blog about your services, even though that's not kind of what you do really, but you could edit the content, well, then you're 50% more likely to get responses from people. Does that make sense? Yeah. So even if you're trying hard to say, okay, well, blogging is all blogging all does that, sometimes bringing it into the industry and how your product or service works within the industry and then applying it back to your business, that can really work, because then you're getting the benefit from the industry. So one of your homeworks, again, is actually irresistible offer, is actually write down what your benefits are. Let me, because I had the worksheet. Yeah, I want you to write 3 benefit statements is what I want you to do. So that will be kind of tough enough, like if you're not familiar with the benefits, but just write something down. And like, again, like there's no judgment. Okay, so I don't know if you could see that one. There's no judgment. This is all just a learning thing, and this is all for you, because then we can discuss it. Okay, so that's 4 right, of your benefits. Because if you know them now, then when you go and ask for your referrals, which you all agree to do 3 for the week, then you can say, well, actually, do you know what the benefits are? Services are blah, 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 blah. And would you be able to help me? And all that good stuff. So it all ties in together. Can you see there's a pattern? So 5 is irresistible offers. Okay, you've got 8 weeks, and at the end of it, you're going to make an irresistible offer. But right now, and I mean irresistible offer like that somebody can't say no to, because again, it's all about them. It's not about you. You'll have all your benefits. It'll be all very crystal clear in what it is that you offer. But right now, I want you to ask yourself, in terms of an irresistible offer, what could you kind of offer your existing clients right now? Or what about the people who've stopped buying from you, not as applicable to some people? Or what about the prospective customers and leads? And now we'll be talking more about this as we kind of go forward. But like, maybe there's a bonus, or maybe there's something that's added value that you could offer that's more than your original offer. So say, maybe you're doing that proposal tomorrow for website content. You could say something like, well, actually, as an added feature, I could do, as an added feature, I could source 10 images for you for your website content, or something like that, that would match with your content. Now, that means you just have to go into, you don't have to buy them, you just have to suggest them. And so kind of think about what it is that you could do, because sometimes that, I know when I'm writing content, I kind of have to point out to graphic designers what images they need to go along with the text, because it reinforces the text. But something like that, I think you could do. I mean, if you look about it, like when you bought this program, like which bonus made you buy this course? Was there a bonus that made you buy the course? Was it just the course itself? So I want you to think about that in terms of irresistible offers. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, I'm sure it was all about like the FaceTime with me.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the support.
Yeah, but you know what? So the program was just the program almost was secondary to the support. So there's no so there should be something similar to that in your business that you could do, and it could be like the same thing, Claude. It could be the support that you offer, or it could be, as I said, we need to dive deep into your business, because I have an idea, but I want to be able to have more of an idea to be able to spout that kind of stuff. So, but particularly to the perspective and the customers and the leads, like going forward, what is it? And instead of just offering like the standard, because if you remember, like one of my first goals for you is to become like the choice, not a choice. And if you people compare you, then they're going to compare you. So look, using you, Maeve, again. So you're going to be going to say somebody to write copy to somebody else who's going to write copy. Somebody's going to be way more expensive than somebody else. And, but if you're offering, like say, if you're offering to do the images for them, that's something different, because that's like an added feature. So that's probably what I would do, and like, now don't forget, like I actually have had people say like, you're too expensive, but I'm like, okay, well, that's the way you perceive it. So there's always going to be that element to it, but at the same time, that's something different. So they can't compare you with somebody else because you've offered something different. So particularly when you're doing prospective customers and leads. And then of course, you always need to give something to existing customers, but what about the people who stop buying from you? And that's something I want, or who don't buy from you as often as they should be. Because remember, we talked about that back end, or the back end of services that constantly that you need to come up with. Well, then maybe that will lead into the irresistible offers. So this might be a slide that can get a quick windfall for somebody like Maeve, but it may not be as applicable to you, Claude, right? Like, in the first week. So I think that we could work on that now going forward. So then you could create those irresistible offers. So that's that one. Number 6 is follow up. Now, follow up is like, when do you actually give up? There's traditionally there's 7 points. Like the marketing research has shown that it takes 7 times for somebody to see your name or your brand or whatever to pick up the phone and take some action. That's 7 points. And that's traditionally, like now these days, like, I read recently that that's 28 points of contact. Like 28 points of contact. That's phenomenal. So if after 28 they've seen your name 28 times, but let's just assume 7. They've seen your name 7 times and they've picked up the phone. Don't lose out. Don't lose them. You know what? You need to follow up with them and 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 follow up with them, because oftentimes it's a person who follows up with them that gets the business. Now, I'm not saying that you actually stalk them, right? And you become a stalker. That is not what I'm advocating. And I'm saying that again, all right? Because if you're going to be advocating. And I want to know if you have a plan to follow up. And if not, then let's start making one, because it's there. The beauty is always in the follow up. Because particularly if you're in a business where people get 3 quotes, and if they get 3 quotes, then it's really the people who follow up and people who engage with them and ask questions and all that really who will win the deal. And I remember listening to, again, one of my earliest mentors. She didn't really want to go with this. It would have been, I think, her second or third choice in terms of a building. She's just using the example of building works. And she had her first preference. But the first preference never came back to her, and the second preference never came back to her. Maybe did after 2 questions, but it was the third person kept asking that got the business. So they wouldn't have been rated as number 1. Let's have them, but because they followed up and they showed an interest in her and showed an interest in the building work, whatever she was doing. And you know what? I remember reading that, and I can I was listening to it on an audio, and I'm still seeing myself. I'm in Smithfield. And there's a little coffee shop there at the train station, the Lewis station in Smithfield. And I can still see myself going, you know what? That makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And it's so obvious, isn't it? And yet, sometimes we're fear stops us from calling up again. Fear because we can't be seen to be stalking them. Fear because they said, they gave us the brush off. But just because somebody says no once doesn't mean to say they're going to say no. Then going to say no again. So sometimes we kind of think, well, that person says no. That person says no now. It doesn't mean to say that we take them off the list and never contact them ever again, because they just said no then. And you know what? You're going to be different the next time you contact them. They're going to be different the next time you contact them. So just because they've said no once doesn't mean to say they're going to say no again. Okay? It's all in the follow-up. And if you don't have a plan, then let's actually start making one.
Okay.
So that's number 6. Number 7 is the chatterbox. And I've kind of talked about that throughout this really, but I kind of thought, okay, well, let's actually put it down as an action item. I want really to start thinking about chatting to people. Remember, we talked about that marketing mindset, that you're now a marketer, you're not a doer of your trade. So if you're a marketer, then you're going to start chatting to people. And you don't so if you just even, if you're chatting to somebody and I'm naturally an extrovert, but even still doing this, I find it difficult. But I do know that it works. So that's why it's a tool and a strategy that I support and I share and I tell people to do. So if you're talking to somebody, at a dinner party, or, if you meet somebody for the first time, so what do you do? Instantly, when you ask that question, and this is not necessarily in a networking situation, but it could certainly apply in a network situation. But if you're the first one to say, so what is it that you do? People will automatically talk about themselves. And the first thing that what's the one thing that people like talking about? Themselves. All right. So if you let them go on and on, which is sometimes where I kind of fall down. And so I am kind of learning and trying to practice kind of jumping in, right? But if you let them talk about themselves, you go, Now, honestly, with integrity and with integrity and authenticity and all that kind of stuff, not right going, but if you go, oh, that's interesting, really, wow, that's interesting. Well, and obviously do it with sincerity. I think that most people will, you build that relationship straight away. And that's kind of like the marketing that I talked about, that you become the 50% marketer. So automatically they also think, God, Claude is very nice. And like, it would be nice to actually interject and say, well, actually, do you know what? This is what I do. This is what I do. And I don't know if you're seeing all these little Facebook messages pop up.
Like,
so yeah, because
some photo, Denise.
What? Oh, does somebody say that?
Photo.
Oh,
No,
really?
they
Oh,
didn't.
gosh.
Just like comment on your photo, but not
right.
the actual comments.
I didn't see it.
Anyway, as I blush, yeah, because I actually finally put my picture up of the New York Marathon. But anyway, so
Well done.
then where was it going with all those interruptions? So yeah, so if you say, they'll say, Jesus, Claude is a really nice person, isn't she? Because automatically you've let them talk about themselves for a start. But it would be nice to actually learn how to get in and say, well, actually, this is what I do. And then I'll bring the conversation around to you. Oh, geez, that's really interesting because, look, geez, last week I was just talking to somebody, a client of mine, and then hopefully they'll actually have the good sense to actually bring it back to you. And so then even if they don't know anybody, and even if they don't know anybody who could be a potential client, you've kind of built up a little bit of a relationship. The next time you talk to them, they're like, oh God, there's Claudia, because she let me talk about myself, even though subconsciously they don't know that. And so they'll know you and it's all good. And then maybe it'll help you just practice, well, I help X to do Y, or, oh, you know what, so that when I actually was working with a client, and there's like those little bits that we'll talk about in terms of message, you'll be able to just drop them in. And then you could do it, that's all kind of like face-to-face chatterboxing. So what you could do then is you could actually have social media chats. Now we could probably do this. This could be actually part of like how you get your referrals. Now we've all actually signed up to do 3 a week. So you could say like, hey, I'm curious. Hey, Maeve, I'm curious. What type of life assurance have you got? And then I'm just doing some research. And so they could come back and say, well, actually, I don't have any type of life insurance. You go, oh, right, well, actually, I can help you with that. Or they'll say, well, actually, I have X, Y, and Z. So again, you do have a bit of research. So you could start conversations like that. You may get nowhere, you may get somewhere. But if you don't start somewhere, then you're never going to get anywhere. So the whole chatterboxing is, as I said, because all our businesses are based on relationships, and they're based on kind of talking to people. And even though like the phone sometimes is the hardest thing, that's why you could start doing it on the social media, or when you're out having coffee and you meet somebody and you go, hey, so what do you do? But anyway, obviously not like, some random stranger, but you know what, if you're sitting on a plane or you're sitting on a train, so what do you do? Obviously that's not what I mean, but start kind of chatting to people about your business, because I think what we do, and you know what, it's funny because I've had this conversation. I'm in a mastermind with those pings, there's a couple of girls in America and there's a girl in Canada. And then there's even a chap in Germany. And I thought would be an Irish thing that would kind of stop us from chatting to people about our businesses. But actually it seems to be a fear, like that people just don't want to talk about your business. So you just kind of like hang back and you go, But like it's the easiest thing to do is actually ask somebody, so what is it that you do? And then that allows them, because it gives them permission to talk. And then you're not like, chatting them up because you're asking them what it is that you do. So it's not like, I think it's the fear that we sometimes have, but I think that you need to do it. And then I said 7, but I put in 8. And this is where I want you to think about planning your time. So I've got a plan your time template. And when I say plan your time template, it literally is broken down into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's broken down into 15-minute intervals. Now, you don't have to, because I was thinking about this going, what way will I do it? Because I sometimes use a Trello board, and then I sometimes use a spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet is easy to start doing it, because then you'll start seeing how, where you're spending your time. And like we can go by the time the 8 weeks goes on, we can go one step deeper into how you break up your time. So if I'm honest, like the one that I use, I break it up into like kids, marketing, sales, client work, maintenance, stuff to do with the house, self-care, and something else. So I break it up into into those categories. So it's easy then for me to kind of say, okay, well, I'm spending way too much time, procrastinating, doing stuff in the house when I should be doing client work. and things like that. So you can start to see patterns in your behavior and where you kind of need to be focused. And actually, this is what helps kind of focus the mind. So it's not mandatory. None of the, like, I guess none of this stuff is mandatory, but it is nice to actually be able to say, okay, well, where did you plan? Where did you spend your time? And it's also good for, you know, saying marketing, like I'll say you need to spend 40% of your time on marketing or 50% of your time. Like, that's all great and everything like that. But like picking up the phone sometimes and calling the client, that's marketing. And sometimes we forget to do that. You know, like if you chat a box with somebody, that's still marketing. If you read an industry report, that's still marketing, because it's still all kind of part of business development. And some of us kind of go, I didn't do any marketing today. Julie's going to kill me because I only did, like, I didn't do any 40% of my day of like in marketing or something. I know it won't kill you or anything like that. But, you know, even if you start recording it and document your stuff like that, I think you'll see that you're actually doing better than you think. Or what you could do is actually start benchmarking yourself from now until, like, say 8 weeks time, what you're doing in terms of focusing your time more on marketing. So I will upload those. And I think, because my site is just a WordPress site, and I believe Excel sheets can't be saved. So if they can't be saved, then I'll just email the worksheets to you, so then you can actually just have them. There's no point having them as a PDF. PDFs are great, but you can't write into them. So I'll send them by email. So your quick wins action plan, there is a worksheet that I'm going to send on, and it does have all of those, like, you know, so it breaks it down into week one worksheet. I don't know, can you see this? Because I'm not sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got low hanging fruit. So count how many communication points you have, list the media you use, rate your friend, or rate your clients, rate your friends. We'll do that later on, right? Rate your clients, how many referral points you use at the beginning, how did you get clients, why did those initial clients start using you, write 3 benefit statements, what irresistible offers can you give to existing clients, irresistible offers to lapsed clients, irresistible offers to prospects, and just kind of jot down notes. And if none of it applies, then none of it applies. And then when is enough for you in the follow process? And maybe actually one thing that I might ask you to do is, why is it only two steps or 1 step? Or if it's 20 steps, then why is it 20 steps? So kind of like delve a little bit deeper and actually going to go, why? That kind of like forces the question there. And then how do you often, do you often use a phrase? So what do you do? And then which channel will you start using in terms of social media chatterboxing? And what is your opening? Which is like that one that I said with the life insurance. You know, I'm curious, what type of life insurance have you got? I'm doing some research. So I'd started, like, you know, this year with, like, I'm curious, what goals have you set this year? Something like that. So something that's, then I kind of realized, well, actually, you know, a lot of people hadn't set goals. So I was like, okay, interesting. So things like that I want you to start thinking about. And then there is the worksheet. That's that one. Rating. So here is, like, you know, an assessment for you that you will fill in on week 1 and fill in week 2. But it's kind of like, you know, what is your communication strategy with clients? How often do you connect with your clients? How many different media touch points you use? What's your referral strategy? What's your Chatterbox system? How is your day planning? When I was writing that now today, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But maybe if I put a hyphen. Yeah, maybe if I day planning. But you know exactly what I mean. And then I have the sheet, plan your week template. So we start off with week 1. And so literally, you don't, if you're not happy with doing, say, 15-minute intervals, don't. But like, sometimes I find that it is handy to do that. And then I've got you right down to 12 o'clock, assuming you go to bed at 12. But there is room there till 1. We'll just say. Hashtag just saying, in case you're a night owl. So look, it's not like, this is just simple. You could actually have it, like, you know, really complicated, but, you know, complicated just sometimes doesn't work. It's good to be simple. So I think that would be it. So there are all your actions. So what I'll do is I'll upload all of that kind of stuff. So there's some actions in there that I want you to take and I want you to do. Now, look, you don't have to do them all in a week. Some of them will be more applicable than others. Try and do as much as you can. And if you have any questions at all, you know, you just email me or just text me, or, you know, if there's something that's really kind of urgent, or just feel free to text. but I want to hear. So that's week 1. How are we all feeling? Are we still as pumped as we were at the beginning?
Yeah, slightly more pumped than I usually am on a Monday night. So that's a win for you.
Any questions then at all? Does anything now not make sense, or is there any questions now that...
No, all good.
No, I was thinking of things I need to do while you were saying that. I was like, thought of 2 or 3 people I need to follow up with. So, yeah.
It's all in the follow-up, isn't it, Clodagh?
Yeah, definitely.
It really is.
I'm the same. I'm the same. It's the fear, kind of go, you kind of overthink it.
Yeah, and sometimes people,
desperate.
Yeah.
But then you see, when you kind of turn it around and it's all about them and it's about how you can be a service to them rather than you, if they don't return your call, then you go, well, that's a bit of a shame. Well, I'll call them again and see, I'll call them again and see how I get on, because that it's going to work for them. And you're going to know then if it's not going to work for them either, then it's easy to kind of say, okay, well, I'll send an email rather than pick up the phone.
Yeah.
So, everybody's in business, so people have hired you, people pay you, so you're still in business. So there is a cycle of that you are good at what you do. So there's no reason why that person would think that's not what you do.
Yeah.
And as I said, one of the things that I actually have whenever I fall down in a job, it's because I haven't set expectations. It's the only, or I haven't put systems in place.
Yeah.
It's the only thing, because people are expecting one thing and they get something else. It's because I didn't set the expectation. So I hate that. So I definitely don't want that for you girls.
Yeah.
Great.
No, I'm excited because I'm going to do referrals, even though I don't want to do referrals. But anyway, that's one I'm going to do. So I'm going to nab you. So Clodagh, I want you to book in for the 30 minutes.
Yes, I will do that. Yeah.
And so just see when you're available. And
perfect. I'll let you know tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then for the people who are listening to the replay, I want you to do that as well. And again, you don't really miss out on anything too much when you're not here. You got to miss the chitter chatter between us, and then but I will be once I get to know everybody's business, then I'll add in specific examples. I know we used Maeve today because I happened to speak to Maeve on Friday, so her business is fresh in my mind. So that's why I like the examples. So I'd like to be able to use everybody's examples. Okay, but if you have any questions, email me. And hopefully now I'll see you on Friday, the same Zoom line. And if you can make it, brilliant. And if not, then send me emails and I will be in touch with you then as much as I can.
Great. Thanks very much, Denise.
All right, listen, go and make yourself a cup of tea now, and I will talk with you later.
Night. Thanks. Night. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Stop the share.